always talk about Arabs as savages. I don't.
No. I'm talking
I never
about
have.
America. About
I actually led the campaign. I led the media campaign
listen,
in this country against the Iraq War. Okay, so I don't see. I don't see people in the Middle East as savages.
You are one of the good ones.
But what I would say is,
I'm not talking about you. You're great.
No, it's not about me
You're
being
amazing.
great.
We love you.
It's about the way Hamas behaved on October the 7th was like savages, like a pack of savages. It was the worst atrocity against Jewish people since the Holocaust. There has to be,
of course,
there has to be a response.
They should be eradicated.
My question for you is, notwithstanding the history, Bassem, what is the proportionate response?
But I don't know. But there's no Hamas in the West Bank, and they're still dying there. So what's your excuse?
I don't have any excuse.
Okay, what's your explanation? Sorry, my earpiece went down.
Listen, I don't make any pretense that this hasn't been a massive problem between Palestine and Israel going back to the mid-40s. We all know this, right?
Piers, listen. I'm not saying that you're making excuses, but if you are adopting a certain point of view, you have to at least defend it. I'm telling you, there is no Hamas in the West Bank. What is the excuse? Not your excuse. What is the excuse to kill those people?
Well, listen, this question of proportionality is one that...
No, answer my question. I've been answering your question. You answer mine.
It's actually not my job to answer your questions. It's not.
Okay, not your job. I agree with you.
I'm more interested in you, who has family in Gaza, who's an Egyptian in the Middle East, right? I'm more interested in what you have to say.
Okay, I'm telling you. I think Hamas is the problem, okay?
Right.
Now, let's say Hamas is removed. Let's Hamas. I'm agreeing with everything. You want me to condemn Hamas? I will condemn Hamas, Hummus, Hassan, everybody. Guys, so wait. I can't hear you. The earpiece. Damn. Okay. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I do need help.
I think. Okay. Just go back. Is he there?
You go back.
Can you hear
me? Okay, go. Thank you, guys.
Can you hear Bassem?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Can you hear? Okay. Yeah. So, let's say, for example, Hamas ceased to exist. Okay? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? Hamas ceased to exist today. Now, right now, in Palestine, in West Bank and Gaza, 20% of Palestinians go through Israeli prison system, whether imprisonment, whether interrogation, whether torture. And the rest of them, they live a life of daily loss of land, of homes, of life, and they are suffocated by this. So let me ask you something. If you are a Palestinian living into these conditions for decades, would you sympathize with your oppressor or sympathize with the people who claim they resist them even if they are terrorists?
I have made no secret that I think the conditions Palestinians have had to exist under are completely unacceptable. I've said that for years. So the question then becomes, how do you forge peace between two warring parts of that region who, for decades, have approached peace, in my view, with mutual sledgehammers, with no actual desire to have peace? And I think it comes down in the end to great leadership. And I don't think there's great leadership. I don't think, well, hang on, let me make my point. I don't think there's great leadership on either side. Where is the Nelson Mandela figure here to come through all this hatred on both sides?
Nelson Mandela?
Yeah, where is that figure?
Nelson Mandela actually have criticized Israel for being a horrible state. All of the South African activists have actually called Israel.
My point is about how he responded to a country that was so divided. Is a template for how you get to peace, isn't it?
I haven't met Nelson Mandela, so I wouldn't know. But there's a point. There's a very important point here. You know, I want to understand what is the logic of Israel carpet bombing Gaza. I mean, if there's a logic, if this will make Israel safe, I want to hear the logic. So if they continue bombing, what are they hoping to achieve?
Well, I think we know what their stated aim is. Their stated aim is to eradicate and wipe out Hamas. They believe Hamas are living predominantly in northern Gaza. They also are aware they're living amongst civilians. So it's an incredibly difficult thing. As I said in my monologue, it is very, very difficult to see how they do this without massive collateral damage.
So if I can understand this correctly, basically Israel is doing this to pressure the Palestinian community in Gaza to turn against Hamas. Is that right?
I'm sure that's part of it, yes.
That's part of it. So this is exactly what terrorist organizations do, because terrorist organizations will have no chance beating a whole nation in battle. So they terrorize and they kill the civilians in order to spread fear and terror so they can turn against their government to change their policy or to resign. You have just compared Israel with ISIS.
No, I haven't. I don't see any comparison between
It's
Israel
going to be
and
the
ISIS.
headlines tomorrow. Piers Morgan,
no,
Israel is ISIS.
Only amongst people who weren't listening. The comparison, which
course.
is more apposite, is ISIS and Hamas. They are both nihilistic terror groups intent on killing as many Jewish people and others as they can possibly kill. And you can't get peace with people like that.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to do something that nobody done on your television. You know what I'm going to do on your episode? I am going to pretend that I'm an Israeli citizen. I'm going to put myself in the place of an Israeli settler in the kibbutz. And I want to speak to my Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, I have voted for you because you have promised us peace and prosperity and security. On the 7th of October, those son of bitches Hamas, they went into the fence that is regularly heavily guarded. Usually if there's like a dove that comes close to it, it will be shot. Those people went in and they went for 6 hours before IDF forces was deployed, killing our friends, our families, kidnapping our grandmothers and babies, and went in. I want to ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, after you have fractured the Israeli community and you have fucked our courts, our Supreme Courts, what are you doing with the money being given to you, to the United States? Also, you are carpet bombing Gaza with absolutely no regard to our hostages, our people. I heard a rumor in the kibbutz that you're doing that you let that happen as an excuse to carpet bomb Gaza, so you push them into Sinai. And I didn't believe that. It's like, not my Prime Minister, he can never do that. And then I watched an interview for Danny Ayalon. He was your chief advisor. He was also the Israeli ambassador to the United States. And you know what he said, Mr. Prime Minister? He said that the solution for those Palestinians is to go into a vast land of Sinai and live into tent cities temporarily, temporarily, wink wink, until we build Gaza again, and then we invite you back. يعني عبط احنا بقى. يعني فاهمني؟ We've seen this movie before. So يعني, and when I saw this, I couldn't explain to my fellows in the kibbutz, how come our Israeli government is trading human lives for another piece of land? So as an Israeli citizen, I need to hold my Israeli government accountable. And as an American citizen, I want to know all of these money that we are giving to Israel. We're giving them $4 billion every year. Joe Biden said it's the best investment America ever done. Well, if I am in the place of Joe Biden, I would say, sorry, don't speak. I would say, if I was Joe Biden, I would go down and whisper in the ears of Netanyahu and tell them, I hate bad investments. They haunt me, like Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. But the thing is, this is the problem. Israel always victimizes itself, and I have never seen a victim putting their oppressor under siege and bombing them 24/7. Israel wants you to believe that they are the victim. Dealing with Israel is so difficult. It's like being in a relationship with a narcissistic psychopath. He fucks you up, and then he makes you think it's your fault.
All right,
you look at Israel as Superman, but they're really Homelander. Wallahi, they are shooting fish in a barrel, and they are annoyed with the splashes.
Bassem, I want to say two things. One, if you could just slightly mind your language. We are uncensored, but if you keep swearing...
I'm very sorry.
We have to apologise to viewers who may be offended by that.
I apologise.
But I understand passions run high, so let's not get too bogged down about the odd swear word.
I apologise to the viewers. I apologise to the viewers for my language.
My second question is this.
After the sight of dead civilians.
After the break, we have the managing director of the Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's company. We were going to interview him on his own, but he's happy to come on and talk with you directly if you are prepared to stay.
Well, of course, I can stay, but again, I am in a disadvantage, and I would like to have my space to respond.
OK, we'll Bassem back in. You've been listening to this, Bassem. What's your response to what Jeremy's been saying?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the gentleman's name.
It's Jeremy Boring. He's the chief executive of the Daily Wire and co-founder with Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire.
Hi, Jeremy. Please say hello to Ben Shapiro, and please tell him that I do think he is the smartest person to ever walk the earth. Thank you so much. So, as a response to Jeremy, I agree with everything you said. I mean, what is disproportionate? I mean, he just used the examples from Second World War and America, showing that civilian casualty is. I mean, I heard his voice. He was very sad, and as he was telling us, it is so inevitable to kill so many civilians because it's something that we cannot avoid. I hear the sadness in his voice, and I know that it's a very difficult decision to kill all of these civilians, because that's for a higher cause. And I understand, but my question, I have two questions. The question is, how can you justify the killing in the West Bank where Hamas does not exist? And if the disproportionate response during over all of these years have actually worked, what will be new this time that did not happen before? I just want to. That was my question.
Okay,
that
Bassem,
was my question.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask...
So now,
Bassem,
if I ask the question, can I say something on my side?
Well,
a little bit personal.
Bassem, with respect,
a little bit personal.
Bassem, with respect, I gave you half the show to have your side. Jeremy's had a lot less time. I'm going to have to.
You want me to leave?
Bassem,
I'm
going to have to let you go because we've been on air with you for 40 minutes.
Okay.
Now,
bye bye.
Right? But listen,
bye bye.
I would like to talk to you again, and thank you for joining the program. I appreciate it.
Oh, by the way, my wife's family is all right, and they sent us a house. It's bombed. It's beautiful. It's going to be a good like Halloween theme. So
well, I'm very sorry going through in Gaza, and I mean that very sincerely.
By the way, I don't know. I don't know I don't know him. By the way, I haven't actually met them. They didn't even come to my wedding. They couldn't because they are stuck in Gaza.
Okay.
And she never saw them because, Gaza is not a destination.
Bassem, as I say,
we hear their voices, and it's they die. It's fine. It's fine.
Bassem, I wish your family all the very best. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
I don't.